Welcome back, everyone. It can be so frustrating to find a healthy, tasty meal for picky eaters.
In today's parenting segment, Kitty Aki shares her tips and tricks to help your kids eat better. So I was just telling you, here's my 2-year-old who will try anything, loves whatever he tries for the most part, and then my 7-year-old who still has, I don't know, 5 things that he will eat.
I know, it's so frustrating, and it can be really tempting to just want to jump in and like, okay, well, what will you eat, you know? But I think it's really important to kind of get them on like a good road with their healthy eating and kind of educate. So first of all, what I would say is start as early as you can, ideally when they're a baby. So when they're starting solid foods, you want to introduce them to a lot of veggies, fresh fruit, whole grains, very limited sugar. I would say no added sugar at that age because you're really trying to set their palate at that age. And when I say whole foods, I'm not necessarily talking about baby-led weaning, but I also do love that concept of, you know, a whole soft fruit or a whole soft vegetable and letting them explore the texture as well as the taste so that they can start to set their palate. I would also really limit prepackaged foods, anything like that, processed foods at that point, and in general. So if you're getting something, I know there's a lot of baby food on the market now that if you check the label, it's whole foods, there's maybe 3 ingredients, and that's what you want to look for.
Well, babies are so open to eating just about anything.
That's the perfect time.
A great time.
Yeah.
They can't really say, well, they can't say no,
yes,
but they may in their own way. Okay, so you also say no plan B, which I am struggling with.
I know, and this is a really hard one. So if you didn't start when they're a baby, don't freak out. There's things you can do. This one, no plan B, is a really big one. I know how frustrating it is, and if they're not eating, say, the veggies or the steak you prepared, it's like, okay, fine, I'll go make a bowl of mac and cheese or something like that.
So easy. Grilled cheese, quesadilla.
Just,
okay, here you go.
Have
it
that
takes 3 minutes. Fine.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
But what that does is that teaches them, I'm just going to wait for what I know I like versus I'm going to try a healthy food. I'm going to try something new. And I think as parents, especially me, because I want my kids to sleep and I want them to have energy. And so the fear of them not eating kind of overwhelms the long-term investment of them learning how to eat well. But I would say it's okay if they skip a meal. In my house, this is what we're having. If you don't like it, that's fine. And with that, I always say, give plenty of options. So say you're making steak, put a little bit of whole grain pasta, little bits of steak, couple of veggies, couple of fruits, let them try everything, but only finish what they like. So in that way, they have a little bit of control and it makes it more enjoyable versus the generation I came from, which was clean your plate. It doesn't matter, clean your plate. So giving them that sense of control and letting them taste test and like, oh, I like these strawberries, I don't like these Brussels sprouts. All right, just try the one and you can leave the rest, you know? That type of thing is really helpful.
So at that point, if they say, I just don't want anything to do with this meal, I'm gonna go to bed on an empty stomach, is the hope that over time they say, okay, well, I'm hungry, I know that bowl of cereal isn't gonna be plopped down while everyone has their nice, healthy meal, so they start to just eventually
try things. And if they have options, eventually they will pick at the things that do look appealing to them. So it is an investment in the long term, and you don't want to give in the short term for that instant gratification to sacrifice the long-term lessons. And those lessons, I believe, are not only presenting the food, giving them options, giving them no plan B, but talking about it with them, telling them what different foods do for their bodies. Lean proteins help your muscles and green veggies help your brain and your development. Some carbohydrates, whole grains can be great for all that jumping and running you do. It gives you that energy. And then the other thing that I really want to be sure of is that we also talk about play foods. So we call them a lot of times junk food, and I don't like that because then it starts to label foods as good or bad. So we call them play foods, which are sugary sweets and treats and ice cream, things like that, which are also good. And we talk about it. We say, you know what? Play food helps your mind. It makes you happy, and that's okay. But it doesn't do a lot for your body, so we're not going to eat as much of it or as often. But it's totally fine to have play foods. There are no good foods and bad foods. They just do different things.
It's educating the littles. Okay, there are 2 meals in my house I know that are going to cause issues, like salmon. My daughter won't eat it. But I say, take at least one bite, try it, and then if she'll eat the rice, then I'm okay.
Yeah, and that's fine because you're allowing her to try it. You're not forcing her, you have to like this food. But I want you you to try this and then eat what you like. The other thing I would say, and this was so hard for me in the beginning, is to stay neutral. So whether you're bringing them a cupcake or a piece of salmon, it's neutral, because you don't want to start to attach emotion to different foods. Like, this food is a happy food and this food makes me happy. You know, they're all just foods. It's all fine. So here's your cupcake or here's your salmon. Okay, just take a bite, leave it, and just trying to take the emotion out of it so it takes the stress off of it for you and for them.
I thought about that just the other day in trying to bribe with a treat. And
Yes.
I thought, oh, I don't want to set that habit and think
Yes.
that that's
Where
a
it's
reward.
attached.
Here's the chocolate bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
These were such great tips. As always, I just need you to come into my house and whip my 7-year-old into shape. Where do we
would love
follow
to.
along with you?
So you can connect with me on Instagram at @the_Kitty Also download the Den Mother podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And I have a fun quiz on the website, thedenmother.net right now. Are you a bad mom? Because we always worry about it. Am I a bad mom? And spoiler alert, if you're asking the question, you probably are not, but it's a good kind of visual for that inner critic. And you can send it to your friends and say, if they're worrying, oh, I'm such a bad mom, here, take this quiz. And guess what? You'll find out you're not.
We are not labeling ourselves. Kitty Aki,
Exactly.
thank you so much.